So anybody who tells me they're Pan-Africanist, I'm going to ask you two questions. What institution are you building? What major problem are you fighting on behalf of the South African people? Yeah. If you cannot give me an answer to either one of those questions, you are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a Pan-Africanist imposter.
You're reminding me of some of the leaders of the Nation of Islam.
But we have differences.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Nation of Islam.
I respect the Nation of Islam. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been one of the most consistent voices for black consciousness in the United States. Yeah. He may be the longest running voice of consistent black consciousness because he's been blessed to be with us in the flesh for so long. But there's differences. They operate on a religious paradigm. I do not operate on a religious paradigm. No religion is going to save black people. No religion. Black people have to save black people. I am a Pan-Africanist. They are not. I'm about the complete and total solidarity and liberation of all African people in the world. That is not their agenda. Mm-hmm. Although we are both nationalists and we probably have far more in common than we have differences, and I stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters from the Nation of Islam, but the program of the Honorable Marcus Garvey is not the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
You've met some of our politicians in South Africa. Mm-hmm. We've got the ANC, the ruling party. We've got another black leadership group coming up in the EFF. Mm-hmm. We as the masses of South Africa have accused a lot of our politicians of selling out and pushing for certain agendas. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to ask you what you believe the solution is for fellow Africans, lots of melanin, they look like us, they sound like us, who are serving other agendas. What are we supposed to do with them? How do we unite with them? How do we work with them if we're saying black first, Africans first?
Well, number one, I think African people globally, because we all suffer from this exploitation through the so-called democracy. We have to do a better job of choosing our leaders, number one. Mm-hmm. We do not do a good job as African people choosing our leaders. We largely allow them to select themselves. Yeah. They anoint themselves and then they come before us. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to select. We're supposed to do the research, the investigation, and decide who we want to represent us. You don't have somebody come and tell you they're going to represent you. That's totally backwards. That's number one. Number two, if we want African politicians, whether in America, whether in Africa, whether in the Caribbean, to be loyal to African people, we have to finance them. Any black politician, I don't care how well-meaning they are, if they got to go to white people to get financing for their political party, if they got to go to white people to get financing for their campaign, ultimately they're going to carry out a white agenda because the hand that pays is the hand that rules. Yeah. So if you want your politicians to be loyal to you and the black community, you have to finance them. But we don't do that. In South Africa, many of your politicians are financed by white people. In America, our black politicians are financed by white people. In the Caribbean, they're financed by white people. If you want to change that, if you want to stop being exploited by fake black politicians, start selecting them yourself and start funding them yourself.
You agree that there are some bad Africans, some bad black people?
Absolutely.
Are we supposed to try and unite with these people or try and save them?
I don't believe you can save every African, and I'm not interested in doing that. The freedom struggle is not a utopia. You saw that here. The South African freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. Yeah. The Ghanaian freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. The Congolese freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. The American freedom struggle wasn't a utopia. There will always be reactive, anti-African elements, even amongst our own people. Yeah. Cut off the cancer and grow with those who are interested in being free. The worst thing you can do is try to bring every South African into the fold in your next liberation struggle. Because truth be told, some of us have been so indoctrinated, so brainwashed by the white power structure that we will kill you before we kill apartheid.
Is this not potentially creating a new tribe of Pan-Africanist, black conscious? I mean, you look at white Jewish, white British, we've got white Afrikaans. Mm-hmm. These are distinct groups. According to you, of course, they serve the same white supremacy agenda.
Absolutely.
Are we not, maybe the argument is, should we not be creating new black tribes that share similar values and understand that we can't bring all black people because the values are not the same?
Well, firstly, I hate the use of the word tribe. Okay. Believe it or not, that's a word that was introduced by the Caucasian. to basically try to reference African people as being primitive.
Yeah.
I prefer kingdom, not the Zulu tribe, but the Zulu people or the Zulu kingdom, not the Xhosa tribe, but the Xhosa people or the Xhosa kingdom. I don't think we need a new group. I just think we need to find the people who are ready for liberation. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one quote-unquote tribe, and that's the Pan-African tribe. Those of us who recognize that our Africanity is greater than our cultural differences, greater than our religious differences, greater than our ideological or social political differences. It is Pan-Afrikanism that is what's going to solve the problems of African people, nothing else. So any brother on the African continent who sees me as his brother and doesn't exercise any type of prejudice towards me because I'm coming from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the USA, he's a Pan-Africanist. We can work together.
Yeah.
I will unite with any Pan-Africanist anywhere, and I will unite with absolutely no tribalist anywhere.
You say the name is not as important as the substance.
Absolutely.
I'm a Pan-Africanist. Amandla. How do you find fellow Pan-Africanists that believe in your agenda without them saying they are, without them dressing a certain way, having a certain name? How does a true Pan-Africanist identify a fellow Pan-Africanist?
I would say through the work. It's not what you call yourself. It's not how you dress. I can show you people who claim to be Pan-Africanists in name, in ideology, in dress, in disposition, but they don't do any work. The heart and essence of activism, the heart and essence of nationalism, the heart and essence of revolutionary Pan-Africanism is to serve the people. So anybody who tells me they're Pan-Africanist, I'm going to ask you two questions. What institution are you building? What major problem are you fighting on behalf of the South African people?
Yeah.
If you cannot give me an answer to either one of those questions, you are not a Pan-Africanist. You are a Pan-Africanist imposter.